Hi, I'm Esty Kaplan, independent scholar and freelance academic copy editor based in Santa Barbara, California.
And I'm Sarah Wilma Watson, a visiting assistant professor of English at Haverford College in just outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania.
And we are the creators of Books of Duchesses, a born digital humanities project mapping women and their books in the Middle Ages.
And this is part of a series of videos on how to contribute to Books of Duchesses as a guest editor. We hope you enjoy it.
Okay, in this video, we're going to learn how to add a female book owner to the Books of Duchesses database. So the first thing you're going to want to do is navigate to the owner model. Then you're going to want to check to see whether the woman book owner that you want to enter is already in the database. So it looks like we have an Anne Neville already, but this is Anne Neville, Duchess of Buckingham, and I'm interested in adding Anne Neville, the wife of Richard III and Queen of England. So we're going to go ahead and add an owner. So first, I'm going to add Anne Neville's name. So to Anne Neville, Queen of England. This will allow her to be differentiated from the Duchess of Buckingham. So it's quite important when you're adding the name of a woman that you include her title if possible, because there were a lot of women in the Middle Ages who had the same name, and we don't want confusion to be introduced there. So here we have Anne Neville, Queen of England. And so after you add the name, you're going to start adding some other features to this woman's profile. So the first thing I usually do is add an image. I have one pulled up already here. You don't have to add an image. It's pretty hard to find images of women book owners a lot of the time, but this one we have an image for. And the place I found this was on Wikimedia Commons. This is an image of Anne Neville and King Richard III. And so you should look for an image that is under a Creative Commons license like this one is, and that prevents us from having any copyright issues. So I'm also going to add an image citation. So I'll type in here, stained glass, image of Queen Anne, found in Cardiff Castle, UK. I'm also going to add a little note here that says 19th century, because this is actually a Gothic revival portrait of Anne, not a medieval image. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to add is some titles for Anne Neville. So she was Queen of England and consort of Richard III. I'm going to enter her birth year, which is 1456, and her death date, which is 1485. I'm also going to select that she is female, and this will allow her to pop up on the homepage map. So if you have the information for mottos, symbols, arms, and signature, you can add that. For the moment, I'm going to leave these blank and move on to a few other things. You can always come back into this entry and add that information. I'm also going to skip instances of book ownership for now. And we do think she owned a manuscript copy of The Visions of Matilda, but that book has not been added to Books of Duchesses yet, so I'm going to wait to add that, and you'll learn in another video about adding books and then connecting them to women owners. But what I am going to do is I'm going to add some locations for Anne, and this is important because the pins on the homepage map of the project will only show up if this woman is associated with a location. It can be hard to find locations for women sometimes. We don't always know where they lived and traveled, but in the very least, I try to add the place of birth, a place of death, and sometimes where the woman was married. So the place I usually go for this information is the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, right here. But if you don't have access to this resource, the Wikipedia page for Anne Neville works just as well. So we have a couple owner locations for Anne. The first I'm going to add in is where she was born. So she was born at Warwick Castle in 1456. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in Warwick here. Make sure you get Warwick, UK. There we go. It's going to come up on the map. I think we already have this place name in the database, Warwick Castle. There it is. And then we're going to enter her date at that location, which was 11 June 1456. And remember, if you're dealing with a date that has a month and day, you want to do day, month, and then year. Now we're going to click save. I'm going to add one more owner location. This is going to be where Anne Neville died, which was in London. And once again, I'm going to click on the place from the drop-down menu. This links it into our location model. And the date that she was there was 16 March 1485. And there's a couple other locations for Anne, but for the time being, I'll leave it at that. The other thing that I'm going to do is add some relatives for Anne, and this helps to connect her with other women in the database. So the first relationship I'm going to add, click on that little green plus sign, is Richard III, who was very notorious and was the husband of Anne. So I think Richard's already in the database. There he is. And Richard III was Anne's spouse. And so this connection with Richard III then allows us to connect her to another person, which is Cecily Neville, who was Richard III's mother, and therefore Anne's mother-in-law. There we go. And Cecily Neville was a book owner in her own right. So now those two women are connected. So before Anne Neville was married to Richard III, she was actually married to Edward of Westminster, who was the son of Margaret of Anjou and Henry VI. So we're going to add him in as well. Edward of Westminster, there he is. And this was her spouse. And again, what this connection with a male owner does is it allows us to connect Anne Neville to another female owner, Margaret of Anjou, who was her mother-in-law as a result of this marriage, and also a major book owner. So she is Anne's mother-in-law. So there we go. We have a number of relationships, and this will allow this woman to be connected with other women in the database. And that's all we're going to add for Anne Neville right now. But that's a pretty complete profile. Save. And there she is.
We hope you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to email us at booksofduchesses@gmail.com. Please make sure to check out the next video in this series and have a great day.